this is a very special time to be able to study the last words of the Tanya, of the chapter 53. And as soon as we complete, there is a tradition to celebrate, and we will have a Farbringen. But before we have a Farbringen, I also want to go over to refresh your mind so that you don't forget what we study, and we'll scan through the 53 chapters. So, yeah, you're here for the night. I'm reading the last section, just a very brief introduction. We spoke about the uniqueness of the action, that when a person does action, they are able to bring God. And that, are you okay?
Yes, fine. Keep on.
And that when a person wants to connect with God, the godliness, just like the brain is the source of energy for the body, God is in this universe through the Torah. That's why the Ten Commandments and the Torah are in the Holy of Holies. I hope you remember that. The rabbi now is concluding into a Kabbalistic interpretation of a verse in Deuteronomy. Says the Rebbe, thereby, when one may clearly understand the text in Deuteronomy, it's written, for the Lord your God is a consuming fire. Ki Hashem Elokecha, the Lord you God. What do you mean the Lord you God? Seemingly, the Lord is a consuming fire. It has nothing to do with you, God. But based on what we discussed, the Yenuka, if you remember in the Zohar, says that a human being, in order for him to keep the fiery God above his head, needs to provide the oil and the wick. The body, the soul is the wick, the oil are the good deeds. That's why action counts, and therefore serving God must be done with action, because action is the oil, the fuel that keeps the flame. That's why the Torah says because God, your Lord, is a consuming fire. The only way for God to become a consuming fire, a flame, is your God when you adapt it to yourself in action by doing what God has commanded. But if you just study God and read about God and watch how God is working, is not a consuming fire, because that fire is not be able to be held above our head. As is explained elsewhere, that only when a Jew succeeds in nullifying himself to God in a matter where he ceases to exist, is nullified as an independent entity, and is consumed in the flames of godliness, only then will he draw down upon himself the light of the Shekhinah. So if I nullify and I so to say subdue the evil desire, then I'm able to keep fueling the fire. So therefore, God, you Lord, is a consuming fire. It's not God is a consuming fire, but God, you Lord, is a consuming fire. And that concludes the Tanya. Nishlam Chelek Rishon Be'ezrat Hashem Zeh V'Yitzaleh. What?
If I nullify evil desire,
the fuel is when I nullify and subdue the evil. And therefore, when does God become a consuming fire? Consuming fire is an energy that's positive, is the Lord your God, Hashem Elokecha. It doesn't say because God is a consuming fire. God, your Lord, is a consuming fire. When you make it, adapt it as becoming your Lord, by subduing the animal and allowing God to reveal himself, then he is a consuming fire. Then you have the flame above your head. That concludes the first part with the help of God. May he be blessed and exalted. I just want to make sure you know there are 4 other parts to the Tanya, but the main part is Likutei Amarim, the 53 chapters. I just want, before we go to celebrate, It's a real cause for celebration for me, especially next week I'll be celebrating my birthday. I started on my birthday 4 years ago, and thank God we were able to complete this project. And I'm very excited to have you with me to study this important part of the Torah. It is a Torah teaching that all study, including people who oppose Chabad for whatever reason, which is wrong, but they still study Tanya because nothing is as powerful as Tanya to help us connect to God. So here is the summary, very brief summary, especially for avid students like we are. It should be able to bring back those teachings. The rabbi began the introduction with a verse in the book of Deuteronomy, Ki karov elecha hadavar me'od. This thing is close and near to you, beficha, in your mouth, bilvavcha, in your heart, la'asoisoi, to fulfill it. And the rabbi was asking, how is it near? How is it close by? And the entire book is there to assist us in serving God with my heart, with my action, and with my brain, so to say. That's the mouth. The rabbi, in order for us to understand how is it near, began with explaining the mechanism of body and soul, mainly the soul first. Chapter 1 till 5, the rabbi is talking about the souls, the godly soul, the animal soul. Each one is made out from a different component. Each one pulls in a different direction. And the rabbi introduced us to the garments, the outfits the souls wear. Thought, speech, and action. These are the three garments that godly soul possess and animal soul possess, and that's the only way for them to express themselves in this physical universe. Chapter 6 to 11, the rabbi was talking about the dichotomy between godly soul and the body. The body is much closer to the animal soul. The soul, the godly soul, wants to pull the body away from its nature. And we have been discovering that there are three categories of people. Godly man, tzaddik. Tzaddik is a man that does not have this conflict between body and soul because his body wants to serve God just like a godly soul. We have discovered the Rasha, the wicked man, who is constantly fighting body and soul. There is a fight. There are polar opposites. The godly soul wants to go one way, and the body wants to go another way, to stay in bed late, to eat whatever is on my heart, my tastes good, to do whatever is on my mouth, to speak and to act in the way that just the way it's comfortable. And then you have in the middle the beinoni, and this book is for beinoni. Beinoni is in the middle. And as we will discover that this book is about beinoni. So these are the chapters 6 to 11. Chapter 12, the rabbi is introducing us, and from 12 to 17, the rabbi is talking about the beinoni. What is a beinoni? On one hand, he's like a tzaddik, he never sinned. His garments are pure. In his thought, speech, and action, he only does right. In his desire, his animal soul, like a wicked man, always pulling away, trying to convince, and he is passionate about not following God, and therefore there is a constant war going on for the beinoni. However, the beinoni does not sin and will not allow the animal soul to rule. The majority of our life is to wish that we reach that point where we can subdue and control our animal soul. A tzaddik, someone who does not have that challenge, is only those who are gifted by God, very few and far in between. The wicked people is majority of the universe where they succumb to their desires. The beinoni's idea is not to question, why do I want to eat unhealthy? Why do I want to speak when I shouldn't? Why do I want to go to places that are not right? Because that's the desire, the natural tendency. The idea is to fight it and to control it. Chapter 18 to 25, the rabbi is going to talk about one word in that verse we started, and that is me'od. Ki korov elecha, these things is near to you. Adavar, this thing, meod, very. What do you mean it's very near to you? It's near to you because you can fight it, but it's not near. And the Rabbi introduced us from chapter 18 till 25 that we have been inherited from our forefathers. That's why Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are considered fathers. Moshe is not our father. David is not our father. Solomon is not our father, but those three, because each one of those three gave us a gift, which is the hidden love for God. So I'm able to awaken that love and not create it anew. That's why it's very new, very near. Because as soon as I am strong in my desire to do the right thing, that love and passion towards God will be awakened. How do we know? The Rabbi gave us the test, the litmus test. When people are facing a challenge, give up your life or give up God, throughout history, people who did not study Torah or not scholars, they gave up their life and will not give up their God. And we've seen since October 7, I'm shared with you how people are connecting to God despite all the challenges, not only not run away from challenges, but are closer to. Chapter 26 to 34 is the Rabbi is talking about one absolute necessity, a prerequisite, the beginning of everything, which to serve God, which is simcha. Without joy, we are never connecting to God. It's like if you want to connect the computer to making it work, you must have electricity. Simcha, joy, is the power that allows us to live a godly life. Someone who, in animal soul, what do? The first trick is to depress, to push us away from joy. If we want to serve God, we need to know joy is the prerequisite, the foundation on which everything else is built. And therefore, the Rabbi gave us many, many techniques doing those from I shared with you 26 to 34, all techniques, how to find joy, realizing that God is everything and God will never forget about us and everything God does is good. And therefore, even challenges, hardship, difficulties are there for our own sake. And we must know, if we serve God, it has to be with joy. If we serve God out of necessity because we're afraid, that's not serving God. Chapter in between 26 and 34, there was a unique chapter called the Heart of Tanya, chapter 32, where the Rabbi tells us that part of being joyous is realize that our real entity is our soul, not our body. My body is temporary, if anybody remember. My soul is for real, is forever. And therefore, I should always rejoice because I have an ability to serve God with my soul, which many, many millions of souls are unable to or not lucky enough. Part of it, the Rabbi was telling us that if I put my soul first, I will be able to connect with every other human being because my soul and their soul are equally the same. It's the same connection, the same purpose. We are all assigned a job by God, and therefore there will be no differences. So I may have a diploma, somebody else may have a big fat bank account, another person is very young. It doesn't matter because the soul is not benefiting from a big bank account or beauty or fame or success or IQ, because it's all about serving God. Once we, so this is a byproduct of the idea of joy. Focusing on my soul will infuse us with joy, and therefore will allow us to pay attention to the soul rather than the body, and therefore everyone is important. Chapter 35 to 37, the Rabbi started talking now, why is action important? And the Rabbi explains that action is the only way to subdue the animal soul. If I think and understand that God's great, I am not serving God. But action is the way to change the animal soul, change the universe, and it can only be done with action. chapter 38 and throughout until 50, the rabbi went on to explain different parts of the verse. 38 to 40, 39 and 40, the rabbi is talking about the heart, bilvavcha. Why is it important to serve God with my heart? And I'm sure you remember we talked about kavana, that action is number one, no doubt. Nothing is compared to action, but with kavana, it elevates itself to the world of Yetzira or Beria, as we discover different higher spiritual realms. And the rabbi was talking about 41, 42, that there are two wings that allow my service of God to elevate to different universes. The wings are love and fear of God. Just like wings, one without the other will have no function. That's the same as love without fear, or fear without love is not good. Both together in tandem will be able to elevate my actions. Action is number one. Without kavana, it remains here. With kavana, it goes up. With a natural kavana or with intentional kavana, it goes even higher. I hope you remember that because we discussed it at great length, and that's what from 40 to 45, the rabbi concentrated on love and fear. Which one first, which one is second? I'm sure you remember, and the rabbi tells us that the prerequisite, the beginning of relationship must be with fear, awe, boundaries. Only then I can create love. And the same applies with spouses, with family members. If I do not allow for other people to create boundaries, and I don't create my own boundaries, there is no love. That love will be, as we call, consuming love that destroys the relationship. So only if I say I love God, it has to come after I have respect for God. And therefore, if I love God, I have to demonstrate by doing what God says. Chapter 46 to 50, we talked about different way to serving God, and we talked about reflection from water, mirror, if anybody remember, to different techniques, quick techniques the rabbi is giving us, how to awaken my love. After I've established respect for God, for he's so kind to us that he dropped everything just to take care of us, we have discovered many ways in which to create our love for God, just like knowing that if I am in love with somebody, it will create love on the other side. Realizing that God will love me if I love God. That's the best way to create a good relationship with God. And chapter 51 to 53, I told you it's the deepest concept is about discovering the four universes and how God operates and why the brain is controlling the entire human, how it operates, that there are three components. It all starts from the brains, it controls the entire body, and the entire body reports back to the brains. The same is God in the Holy of Holies. That's the brain of the universe, even though God is everywhere, but he reveals himself in the Holy of Holies, and from there it spread. What's unique about the Holy of Holies? The Torah. The Torah is there, the 10 Commandments. So if I want today where I do not have Holy of Holies, I can create it. The brain and connecting to God directly is through the study of Torah, which we are doing now. And therefore, the Yenuka says that the flame needs to have fuel, and the fuel is to subdue the animal soul, and the subduing of the animal soul starts with Torah and other actions. And this is the summary. I'm sure now you can take a test and pass the test. So mazel tov, everybody. Congratulations.
Thank you to an amazing teacher.
We would like to now have a meal. Enjoy. This is a tradition, and I've invited my family, some of my children to be here. So please join me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rabbi.